I have a picture of myself like next to the sale. I was like freaking out. I still couldn't believe it was real. It was like my first internet money. The hit of dopamine from that, I can tell you, is bigger than even getting like $80,000 payouts to my account. Like that first $47 subscription was bigger.
Today, we are uncovering the blueprint from building $4 million in info before you're even old enough to rent a car. Our guest, Braden, a world-class info operator, scaled multiple info product companies from absolutely zero to seven-figure run rates. He has managed 35 sales reps in the past year and collected $4 million in cash in a single year, and now oversees an entire backend operation for one of the biggest names in the education space, all by the age of 20. In this podcast, we're going to dive deep into many topics: your mindset, your story, how you got here, where you're getting your education from, and we'll look into how you're running this multiple six-figure a month education company at 20. So, what is it like from making your first info sale, I believe 2 years ago, to now doing six figures in a month for your agency?
What's up, guys? Appreciate the intro, Prince. Very happy to be here. I appreciate the words. So yeah, I made my first info product sale in December of 2023. I remember, I'm pretty sure it was actually New Year's Eve, and I stayed in. I was still living with my mother at the time, and I was DM setting on New Year's Eve. I'm pretty sure it was like literally right at New Year's. I
Wow.
got my first sale, and I was basically operating for this offer. Like I helped write the BSL and build out the whole sales process and everything. And I was also doing the sales for it. And I remember it was this Indian dude named Aveen. I still remember him in the DMs. I remember his exact profile picture. And it was a $49 per month low ticket subscription. And I have a picture of myself like next to the sale. I was like freaking out. I still couldn't believe it was real. It was like my first internet money. And yeah, the hit of dopamine from that, I can tell you, is bigger than like any hit of dopamine after that. Even getting like $80,000 payouts or like wires to my account, like that first $47 subscription was bigger. And and that's because I spent 9 months before that making nothing, working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, 9 months, no days off,
Wow.
literally had nothing to show for it. So yeah, first breakthrough is very worth it. And what exactly was the question? Like how I feel now that
Like,
I'm making.
yeah, like now that you went from like making your first sale, $47, to making six figures in a month, like your first six figures.
Yeah. So I really, my second, or like my big breakthrough, I guess, to earning around 75K a month in income right now was in July. Was my first big launch, and then things stayed consistent after that. And leading up to that launch, I had 3 clients at the time, and I was just doing some mental modeling or some financial modeling with my sales manager out here, who were working in person together. We bust out a whiteboard. We were writing down, all right, here's how many funnel viewers we're getting. Here's opt-in rate to shoot for, contact rate to shoot for, booking rate, show rate, close rate, AOV. And that averaged out to $600,000 a month. And when I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot myself if I don't hit that number. Like if I have this insane opportunity in front of
Mhm.
myself and I fumble it. So I had 2 other clients at the time that I was making
Mm.
six figures from. And I just said,
Sorry.
hey, yeah,
So, yeah, I just wanted to clearly understand it. You're saying to to hit 666,000 a month, how much was that for you, or what was the math behind that?
yeah. So we are getting 900 page views per day on
Mhm.
their free WAP, which I actually didn't calculate in that they probably got a lot of views from just like the WAP marketplace.
Yeah.
But I then extrapolated that, okay, if we're getting 900 views a day, 30% opt in rate, and then we book in or we contact 50% of opt-ins, and then we book 20% of people we contact, and then I think I can't remember the exact financial model. It's
Yeah.
65-75% show, 30-40% close, and then like 2K AOV. I forget the exact numbers, but it was like a pretty rough estimate for a call
Yeah.
funnel,
What
and
was
it
the
like.
goal like for you guys, like the math you guys were doing? Okay, if I do 666,000 with the client, how much was that for you guys? Like, what was the goal behind doing those numbers on the whiteboard?
Well, to be clear, the goal is never an output. The goal is like these are the metrics that we want to shoot for throughout the funnel and the sales process. Yeah, that we the crazy thing is with that launch, so I did end up passing two clients off to some other agencies so that I could go all in on this one client, and it ended up paying off. We did 626K. So we were 40K short of the financial model, but it still is
Yeah,
pretty crazy like how things added up because this client was doing 150 a month before that. And then after
yeah,
installing all our systems, they did 626K. And then, yeah, the wire to my account from that was around, I think it was 83K in take home. And then in terms of agency, because I also paid sales manager and had some other expenses, agency take home that month was 137K. That was July of 2025.
yeah. Sick. And I actually wanted to ask more about that, like why many people in the agency world wants to just stack a bunch of clients. Why did you decide to focus on one client?
So that's actually something I've juggled with a lot. Have gone back and forth from it's been kind of like an accordion of like taking on more clients, letting go. I think taking on more clients is not bad because scaling a service business, you kind of scale off of your results. So if you're able to stack better and better and better clients, you're able to scale up your income, especially if it's rev share based. But I got to a point where I kind of found that dream client where we get along super well on a personal level. Like I live with them for a little bit. They're fun. They're extremely good at what they do. Their fulfillment is ridiculous. They're insanely good at marketing and content, and they didn't want to touch the business at all. Like they let me, like I managed their fulfillment, like their student success coaches. I helped build out the onboarding, the customer journey, the funnels. I'm like I communicate with the accountant. So like I pretty much get to learn everything about growing a business to this level, which is so sick. So I think it's twofold. One, it's way easier for me to double my income by scaling them from 500K a month to a mil a month. That is way easier than finding another client that I can hit 500K a month with, in my opinion. So that's the income level, but also just the learning level is like I can go so much deeper with this one client than I would be able to if I had three. I can
Yeah,
dive into the minutia of like testing all these super unique things that pretty much no agency would be able to do because
yeah,
I'm all in on them. So that was my
yeah.
thought process.
Yeah, that's definitely this is I feel like one of the biggest questions in the agency world is like, should I or operating world is like, should I focus on one client or multiple clients? And I think you answered it correctly. Like I've been speaking about this topic recently, and it's about finding that dream client where you're able to connect on a deeper level, personal level. And like you said, it's the reason why many people go from gets new clients all the time is because they don't know how to keep scaling higher. So they want to just restart the process from 0 to 1. So, yeah. And how would you explain what you do to a stranger?
This is a tough one. This is the classic.
Yeah.
I just say I have a marketing agency. And then if
Market.
they because most people just like they just don't get it. But that's why I say like off rip, like, oh, I have a marketing agency. And then if they're more curious, like what exactly that entails of, then I'll always just like create an example that applies to them. So I'll say like, hey Prince, what's something that you're super into learning? They'll say
Yeah.
tennis. Then I'll say, okay, cool. Do you watch any tennis content creators online? Yeah, I watch Rafael Nadal. Okay, so imagine you watch all of these videos from Rafael Nadal. He talks about the form he has in his serves. He talks about how to hit top spin on a forehand. And then you see that he has a website where he actually has a video breaking down how you can get access to a product he has, going more in depth on how you can become a better tennis player. Inside there, there'll be video lessons breaking it down. There'll be a community of like minded people who want to get better at tennis. And maybe
Mhm.
there are some coaching calls where you can hop on live with him and he'll break things down. So I'll just like
Yeah.
make it specifically applicable to them because we live in a world where it feels like it's huge. We feel like we're in this big like
Yeah.
internet marketing world that's so oversaturated. But if you really look at it, it's still extremely niche. It's growing like crazy, but it's so ridiculously niche and very like if you just talk to the vast majority of the population. Very few
Yeah.
people are familiar with it, with like info products and internet marketing. And yeah, we're super fucking early.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I realized when speaking to family, like, I struggle to explain things that I do to family members in general, and also for the audience as well, some people that are watching this, I hope they know, the things that you mentioned, but uh, yeah, so that shows, like, just everybody day to day when you're going to the grocery store or you're making anywhere that you go, like church or whatever it is, they do not understand or know about this world at all. Like, I don't know if you remember in Arizona when we were speaking to
The
the Uber
Uber.
driver, the Uber driver, I gave the worst examples and, yeah,
Yeah, that
it
was
was
hilarious, bro. The
it
dude
was
kept saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, I get it, I get it." And I was like, "Do you, bro?" He's like, "Nah."
He did not understand my examples. Yeah. So that is also like reassuring as well a little bit, because you always feel like we're behind and stuff like that. Yeah. Of course, there's not no reason to slack off and stuff, but it shows that um, if you focus on one thing for a long period of time, you'll become more and more of a, I guess, specialist or become more and more an expert of it. 5 years ago, did you predict you would be where you are now?
Fuck no. Dude, 5 years ago, I was, like, in my mom's basement playing Rocket League all day, like, playing tennis, and money didn't even, like, it wasn't a concept in my brain. So, no, I definitely would not have
Okay.
predicted that.
I think maybe 5 years ago is it's a little too far. What about, like, I guess when starting your business journey, did you think you would get this far this quick?
My time frame was skewed, honestly. Early business mentors, which I'm glad they did this, told me to shoot higher. So like a lot of people, their first goal is 10K a month, but I off rip started shooting for like 100K a month. But what 100K a month meant to me was different. Like when I envisioned 100K a month, I imagined 100K a month for a client, and then I take my share off that. But yeah, the journey, holy stutter, the journey was much more like very up and down. And so I definitely would
Yeah.
not have predicted it. I don't know. My perception of money just changed drastically. But I did off rip have higher expectations to make money very quickly. I remember I was just looking back at one of my first, I made this like vision board where it broke down my journey over time and who I'd become. And it said within my first year, I was going to be making 50K a month profit. And that did not at all end up happening. I exactly 1 year after starting, I hit 15K a month in profit. So that was pretty great. Like
Yeah.
that was awesome. But no, I didn't hit 50K a month profit until like month. Yeah, yeah, exactly 2 years after I started. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I realized is when we were well, when I was sold very much with the webinar, a 10K a month, 3 months thing, actually ended up happening, I think, after exactly a year or yeah, after exactly a year. Or not actually exactly a year to make the first dollar or to make the first, $50 as well. And then after that, exactly 1 year later, 10K a month, if I'm not mistaken. Or I think I might have skewed the numbers, the dates. But
Yeah. A
um
lot of people, it's so easy to compare yourself. A lot of people will fraud those numbers and like you feel like you're so behind, but people are actually making way less than you think. And I've realized this as I've grown more and met more people in the info product space, is you realize how much one, their lifestyle expenses are crazy, two, how much they're spending on ads, on just like random shit, bro. Like it's
yeah,
crazy when you take an underdeveloped brain from someone age 20 to 25 and you give them 7 figures a year in cash flow. It's crazy what the brain can justify spending it on.
yep,
Yeah, a lot of people just like flex big numbers that either aren't true or aren't income or just irrelevant, healthy to even look at because everyone's journey is completely different. Bezos lived on like I forget the exact number, it's like 40 to 80K a year salary. And it took him
wow,
like I believe at least a decade or two to cash out. And he lived an extremely frugal life up to that point. But I'm pretty sure he balls out more now for sure.
wow. Yeah, I think, yeah, I remember there was a video of him when he was a billionaire, officially a billionaire, still in like a Toyota something, right?
Yeah,
Um, which is, yeah, very delayed gratification,
yeah,
which I think is something that we really need. Like I'm a prime example. Like when I was in Bali, I was spending like 4 times how much I was making at that time because, I had some issues in the business, and then as well as I was just spending like all the money. I was spending like 6, 10K a month on in Bali, which is crazy because Bali's cheap,
Like 6
which
to 10K USD
no,
on
Canadian.
lifestyle? Okay.
Canadian, yeah. On just
But on
everything, like the
lifestyle.
flights, yeah, flights, rent. Also, of course, I've reinvested a few things. Mainly,
Mm.
just in general, that was irresponsible. Like the lifestyle, I was spending, you know, 1,100 Canadian on rent. I was spending like, a lot of food and random stuff. When I was here, I was just spending money on Amazon like crazy and other stuff. So I realized now, yeah, definitely should be like the first lesson I learned from Brady was like the months. It was the your
The
amount
clock.
you have saved. Yeah, the clock thing. Yeah, exactly. That's very, very powerful. And I feel like having a lot saved, especially in business, since there's ups and downs, having money saved is really, really important, as well as like, having some space to breathe. So that's definitely going to put focus on that going forward.
I think a lot of people virtue signal around money. They'll either make a bunch of money, spend a bunch of money, and then their income goes down, and they say like, oh, yeah, like all the materialistic shit meant nothing. And
Yeah.
sometimes they do mean it, and sometimes it is true. But what I found, I in September, like end of September, I moved to Miami. Was living in a house that cost 20K a month in rent with my boys. I got to drive around in Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsche GT3 RS, so like cool cars, and had like big ass influencers walk in and out of my house, a pool, like parties, and it was the lowest mentally I'd been in probably 2 years. And so like that experience, and also is like the most I was making. It was the most I was making and the most I was spending. But it made me like, I think you need to spend more to realize how much you like. The one of the most important things, I believe Naval says this, it's like you can measure intelligence based on if you get what you want out of life or not. And I stand by that so hard, and I think that's a big thing with money is you can tell someone's intelligence based on if they get what they really want out of their money. And I think sometimes it takes like spending money on some bullshit to figure out what you really get value from or not. And so like the big thing I realized from what cuz I spend an egregious amount of money on certain things, and then I'm ridiculously frugal with other things. Some things that I find I like get a ton of value from are a beautiful living environment slash working environment, and then health. And other than that, I don't really spend that much. I actually hate traveling. like yeah,
Yeah.
when someone hits me up, they're like, yo, let's go to Europe. Let's buy a sick ass B&B. I could for sure do that. I just like hate the idea of getting out of my routine. Going to a really fancy dinner, I like good food for sure, but I also really like just like a clean, nice dinner. And yeah, I think it just comes down to knowing what you get value from with your money, and you have to just spend more to figure that out. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing above all, this comes back to the clock you're talking about. How long could you survive if your income went to zero? Is freedom. Knowing that, okay, I could become a paraplegic and become Stephen Hawking. Actually, that's not a good example because he's a genius, but like I could become completely disabled and not be able to do anything, and I could survive for 10 years because of the money I've stacked up and because I know what my lifestyle expenses are. And like
Yeah.
that's the biggest value driver for me. It's like beautiful living environment, office environment, my health. So like sleep, good food, gym, shit like that. And then the rest just like pouring money into assets that make money while I sleep.
Yeah, I agree. I was doing the same thing when I was making the most as well. I had the factor meals, and yeah, was just spending money on things to be more locked in, and yeah, I
And to
think,
be
yeah,
clear, if you love supercars, then fuck yeah, ball out on supercars because that's going to motivate you to go harder. Like if you
yeah,
truly love supercars, if you truly love just like super expensive designer shit, like do it because that'll motivate you to go harder. But I think the trap is if you spend money on that stuff and you think that you want it, but you're really doing it to impress other people and you don't get like true fulfillment out of buying it. So that's where like you just need to be in tune with yourself and what you actually want.
yeah, yeah, and that's exactly it comes from, like you said, having the money and spending it, trying it. Yeah, That's when you figure out what what you enjoy the most. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing I learned as well. One of the biggest thing I learned is from Brady as well is like the brainwashing thing. Like if you don't brainwash yourself, others will brainwash you. So like being careful of what you consume and like the social media and stuff like that, and thinking that, oh, you want this X, Y, and Z things, but you don't really want those. But that's where your environment is telling you to get and to do. So
Yeah,
that's
someone
something.
quote this, bro. It's amazing how much bigger you'll think when you stop consuming Instagram Reels and you start consuming biographies from successful entrepreneurs. It's like, it feels like your brain is getting like deep cleaned, like so much bullshit. Because nobody on Instagram Reels know what the fuck they're talking about. Nobody does. You can literally read from people who have built $1 trillion companies, but you're choosing to consume content from retards like us who have no idea what we're talking about. I actually think it's valuable to listen to us if you're specifically learning the niche thing that we do. But for the most part, I think a lot of content on social media is bullshit. I think the power just comes from like the nicheness of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't want to. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to make these podcasts is so that the people that are either one step behind or are on the same boat, can learn from, yeah, from us. Awesome. And tell us about a hard time that you had to push through and how it shaped you.
I want to start by saying I came from an extremely privileged family. This doesn't mean that they didn't give me any money. Like I got here on my own. They didn't give me any, they gave me some helpful beliefs, but like if I had followed the path that they laid out for me, I would be very unhappy and poor. But either way, my mom let me take a gap year to go all in on this so I could put 100% focus to business. She paid for my rent 'cause I got to stay at her house, paid for my foods. Transparently, I'm extremely privileged and like I probably had it easier than a lot of people. And I'm upfront about that. But I do remember probably my low was April of 2024, when by this point I'd been in online business for 9 months and I thought I'd be making way more. I was only making like $500 a month in profit. And I had like this launch coming, or I did do this launch that I thought was gonna go crazy because one of my friends in the exact same niche had done 40K in 2 weeks. The client was only a little bit bigger than mine. So I was like, all right, I should do the same numbers. And we only did 1K. And I had a 50% profit share, which is pretty wild. But I took home $500 to that. This is when I was kind of hitting, like going into, like I felt like I was backed into a corner because the gap year is ending. So I was either going to have to like move out on my own and like get a job again or go to college. And like either way, my focus would be split. And I was like, shit, if I spent 9 months with nothing to show for this and I was all in, like how the fuck am I going to get anywhere if my focus is split like 70% working slash school, 30% entrepreneurship. So that's when I was like really getting scared. And pretty much everyone in my life, my mom, my dad, my brother, my friends were saying, like, I told you so. And also is how much I'd sacrificed. Like, I'd cut off so many of my friends, like, literally just said goodbye to my entire life. Like, I gave up everything for this. Nothing else existed. None of my friends were still there. I had one friend out of like 20. I would have been in college. Like that was gone. My social life was gone. Like everything was gone. And I had nothing to show for it. And it felt like it was all for nothing. And like I was gonna, which it, like it's so dramatic for me to say this because like so many people have been through like way worse situations. But it was just like a rock
Wow.
bottom moment where I had this big launch I thought was finally gonna be the breakthrough and it wasn't. And I thought I was gonna have to go back to college. But I ended up joining a coaching program for 6K, but I only had 1.5K to my name. He let me in for some reason. And then I relaunched the same info product in a different way. And this time I installed the systems he told me to. And I made my first 10K profit month like 2 weeks after. So crazy how quick
Yeah.
things can change.
Yeah, I actually remember that. And once you posted those results and stuff, that's actually what made me join that coaching program. Um, But yeah, but I think a lot of us that are similar age have gone through this as well. But it's definitely a very tough moment that you see like many of the people that a lot of people they just cave in sometimes and like I'm not saying, college is wrong or it's not good to go there, but um
For those of us where that doesn't align with our goals, it's very easy to feel external pressures from people who are on the traditional path and then just cave in and go back to that life. When you deep down, you still know that there's a part of you who wants to build something different and break free of that path. And you know you're meant for more, but you just let those external pressures push you back into your comfort zone.
yeah. And I think that that is a very key moment in your journey and that, that has kinda led you snowballed into where you are today. So, um,
100%.
what is one thing that you've done that has helped you the most with your show up rate? Because I did see
Getting
you
tactical. That's a
yeah,
big,
because
big switch up.
oh, shit, I should've went deeper. Well, do you wanna go back to
No, no, that's fine. I'm
okay.
down to get tactical. Just a big switch up.
Yeah, my bad.
No, no, you're good.
Yeah, because I did see a lot of, like, sick, results with your show up rates and stuff that if you've posted and stuff. Yeah. What is,
Yeah.
like, the main thing that has helped you the most with your show up rates?
Yeah. So we were running an inbound call funnel. So just simple. We were selling to consumers. I know some people will say don't put an opt in front of a VSL, but we have a very strong outbound dialing team, and the opt in has been super helpful for us. So we're going opt in VSL application, book a call. And then, after they book, there's a confirmation page, all the pre call stuff. So, value dense emails, they get hit with ads before their call. We make a group chat between the setter and the closer. We send them there's some special sauce. We send an unreleased podcast episode between the setter or between the closer and the face of the brand. So one, that podcast will pre-handle objections based on the topics covered. And then two, probably the biggest helpful thing is that it pre-handles like, are you even affiliated with the face of the brand? It just builds trust that they see the
Yeah.
closer talking to the face. So we were running all that. And initially we're doing just like application or they under the VSL, they click a button which redirects them to another page with an application. After
Mhm.
they apply, it redirects them to another page, and it was just like bad friction. So we eliminated
Yeah.
that bad friction. So it was just VSL, no button to another page, just application right under that. And then embedded in that application was a booking if they qualified, of course.
Yeah.
Now, running that, we decreased friction so much that show rate dropped to 35%. And it was to the point where we were booking more calls, but the extra calls that we were booking weren't worth it. And so we switched our funnel back, which I don't recommend this to most people, but if you have a super strong outbound team and your show rate fucking sucks, I recommend testing it. We just went back to VSL application. After they apply, they go to a confirmation page and it just says, "Hey, our team will reach out to you soon. Here's some stuff for you to go through in the meantime." And then there are just videos answering their questions, like
I
what's
have a
inside the
question.
yeah, go ahead.
So you said DSL and then there is the application. After the application, is there a booking, like,
No booking.
calendar? So
No, just straight
somebody
to a
reaches out to them.
confirmation page. Yeah. So people only get booked if our team calls them outbound and books them in. Now, we found
Oh,
that
okay, I see.
this literally doubled our show rate. And for most people, the improvement may not be worth it because if you double show rate, but you're booking half as many calls, you're still exactly where you were. But we doubled our show rate and we're only booking 20% less calls. So there's a massive improvement.
I
Now,
see.
some people may say this is retarded and like, oh, you could figure it out. But like we tested a bunch of shit. We tested a bunch of different messaging with pre-call videos, a bunch of different messaging with the pre-call ads, with the pre-call emails, with the like everything throughout the process, new headlines, and we just couldn't really we'd see incremental lifts, but nothing that got us into the zone we were looking for. And we're able to run this funnel that's only outbound because we have such a strong setting team. And yeah, that's been working super well for us.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty dialed in system. I think the most interesting thing that you've said so far is also number one, this is also different. I haven't heard too many people that run a similar funnel. And also the closer podcast is pretty interesting. Like you would have different podcasts for different closers as well.
Yeah. So it
Okay.
can be kind of a pain in the ass once your team scales up. Say you have like 12 closers. But
Yeah.
I mean, for us, whenever we onboard a new closer, our churn isn't bad. And it's a 10-minute video that the face of the brand records with the
Okay.
closer. You know, you can bang out six. If you have six closers, you can bang out six in an hour.
Yeah.
There are definitely returns on that in terms of like the pre-handling in the video itself. But the biggest one for sure is just like,
The face.
I have seen you talking to the face of the brand, so I know you're not gonna scam me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, that is definitely something that even the company I'm working with right now, I will let them know as well because I don't think they're doing that. So
It's
yeah.
huge, bro. It's huge.
Yeah.
We see it when
100%.
we onboard a new closer and there's like a 1 week period where they don't have it. They get more fear objections. They get more people who don't come through because of that.
Okay, so the insecurity training arc, you have noted that most top performers are driven by a sense of deprivation or insecurity. Now that you're living in Austin, high rise, profiting 70K monthly, how do you prevent yourself from becoming complacent?
We're back high level again. I like it. So, first off, I was journaling about this literally last night about what my motivations had been. First off, it was I want to make money online. Then it was pain and insecurity. And I mean, it's still obviously 100% is. But after that, it was motivation to just master the game. Like, I love the game. I used to be just like super addicted to video games. I just hyper fixate on shit. I used to be top 100 in the
Yeah,
world at Rocket League. Like I just played it all day.
that's
And so
insane.
like that's
Uh-huh.
what it is with this. And people say like love of the game, whatever. They throw it around. They don't understand what it means to love the game. Like some people, you can just look at them and you're like, this dude actually loves the game. Like you can tell they stand
Yeah,
out. And now I'm way more mission driven where like I don't think this is virtue signaling. I try to be super honest with myself, but I genuinely feel this deep feeling inside of myself that humanity is fucked and I need to save humanity. That sounds extremely egotistical, but
yeah,
that comes from just when I say humanity, I mean more so the US college education system, I think is so fucked. And alternative education, online communities, niche communities, people with who think differently have these different niche interests that has literally changed my life. And I feel this strong mission for those people who are lost and alone and have more potential to find those. And so, like, that's my core driver now is I want to,
yeah.
because I have, like, I've found out what, like, the main lifestyle is that I want to live and I can afford that. And the rest of my money just, like, goes into stocks and crypto. And it, like, I don't need more money really. That sounds super virtue signally, which I hate. But, like,
No, that's not.
yeah, that's the core mission now. But
Yeah,
I think underneath all that, there still is a strong insecurity of I think I'm a people pleaser. Like I can be super blunt and say what I'm thinking to your face and it can like really offend people. But I guess if I root back to it in high school, I felt like no one ever wanted to talk to me. And I felt like an outcast. Like I was that kid who was friends with everybody, but not I didn't have like a core friend
same.
group who I was really close with. Like, I was friends with the popular kids, I was friends with the nerds, I was friends with the other popular kids, like, I had all these different I was like the floater, I didn't have that
Yeah,
one core friend group, and it's not like I got invited to that much stuff, and I always just, like, felt weird and felt like an outcast, and so I feel like this strong need to feel validated by others and to be, like, wanted by others, and so, like, that's something where a lot of my drive comes from is just like insecurity of feeling like I'm never good enough and like I need to like earn that and this I don't think this is like that healthy from a relationship perspective, but it's like I need to earn being a like I need to be worthy of being friends with people. Like it's probably not the best. I feel like no one wants to be friends with me unless I'm good enough. But now I think I've kind of healed some of that where I have some friends who I know they're like my rocks and like it's easier to tell who is your friend because they know they benefit materially from being close to you versus like who genuinely loves you for who you are. And I think I've gotten better at some of that quote unquote self-love, if you will.
yeah. I think I relate to that as well. I have definitely seen over this past few years, like you said, the people that are, just there to take advantage, or if they're actually, care about you as a person. And same thing as like, when meeting these high level people, like, oh, not feeling worthy enough to be in the same room, or, to speak to them or to be closer with them. And even working with them, as you may notice that when we were in person. But yeah, so it definitely takes some work. I think I saw this, I forgot it was a quote or something, and but I don't remember the quote. But yeah,
I don't know if this is a quote you're referring to. I think maybe this is a good substitute quote if it's not.
yeah,
If you're using pain, because we as humans, we're more strongly motivated towards, I mean, away from pain than we are towards pleasure. And so if you have that insecurity and pain that you can use as fuel, it's more powerful than any other fuel, but it doesn't last as long because one, it's kind of like a toxic fuel that may burn you out. I didn't find that was the case for me. Like I never got burnt out from it. But for me, I just like found more blessings in my life over time. And so then I my fuel changed more towards love of the game and towards like impact than insecurity. But I definitely still have insecurity as like a core driving factor. But it's like if you do have that as a fuel, absolutely use it. Like in especially if you have nothing material, like having more material shit in your life will absolutely increase your well-being up to a certain threshold. There are diminishing
yeah,
returns for sure. But having more freedom, having nicer food, having a nicer environment, being able to afford nicer things will absolutely make you happier. And if you're able to use insecurity fuel to get you there, use it because like that's more powerful. And then over time, they'll probably shift.
yeah, 100%. And yeah, at the end of the day, you gotta figure out, yeah, like you said, what's pushing you. If not, then you'll slow down and you get complacent and comfortable. So you gotta always find kind of what you're running away from a little bit, but then also focusing on where you're going towards as well, which I'm not an expert in this specifically, so I just follow, the vision board stuff that has worked well for entrepreneurs.
It ultimately
And
comes down to positive
yeah,
reinforcement. Like we as humans, you became who you are and I became who I am. Like I believe that who we are is the actions that we take. There's of course more to who we are than just the actions, but like the core of who Prince is the actions that Prince takes. And that's same with me. And we do things or we don't do things because we have been positively or negatively reinforced for doing them in the past. And so I don't think it's necessarily that black and white where it's like you need to find motivation or you shouldn't get comfortable. It just means you don't have enough positive reinforcement for taking more action or you don't have enough negative reinforcement from being comfortable. And if you are comfortable and you're happy, that's great. But if you're uncomfortable and you're unhappy, or if you are comfortable but you're unhappy, which I think tends to be the case because I think humans naturally derive fulfillment from struggle, hardship, and progress. At least that's been the case for myself. Now, part of why September through December were some of the least happy months of my life is because I was kind of in this cushy environment. And recently, I've been forcing myself to do more hard shit that I don't want to do, like going for longer runs, going for cold plunges, forcing myself to do like genuinely boring work. Like, yeah, you can love the game, but there's probably always going to be some part of the game that you don't want to do. Like the repetitive, monotonous shit and like forcing
yeah,
yourself to bear through the boredom and then seeing the fruits on the other side and like sticking through the boredom long enough to get that positive reinforcement. That's been like so key, one, to just like progress, but two, to overall fulfillment for myself.
yeah, 100%. I've seen that, like, when I was in Bali and stuff, I was too comfortable, and being comfortable, that had effects on my business, in terms of the work and stuff, so that I got negatively reinforced that way. So I don't wanna go back there, and yeah. So now I'm, like, looking back at my best months in business, and that's when I was just doing the boring work at my parents' house, locked in, spending money on, everything. I was still paying for rent, food, I literally had like a batch every week of just food ready, no dishes, no nothing, just warm it up, eat. And yeah, that's when I had the most purpose as well, like competing for the school games and all that stuff. even though it was like the most toughest stuff. It was, after that is the most fulfillment. Yeah, I agree.
100%.
The B player trap. You mentioned B players are more dangerous than C players because they're tolerated just enough to infect the team. What is specifically the threshold or red flag that tells you a high performer has become a toxic liability?
So I didn't come up with this on my own. I read it in a book somewhere. I forget where. Might have been Bezos. I think I got it from like a big billion-dollar CEO. But essentially, if you have a C player on your team, it's apparent. You know you need to let them go. But at least hopefully it is. For the most part, it is. But if you have a B player, there are little things about them that kind of throw you off. And you have these thoughts like, oh, should I keep them? Should I not? You'll have calls with them and they'll like improve for a little bit and then they'll kind of slump back into inconsistency. And like they're smart, their output is mostly there. So it's hard to justify letting them go. But that's like the most infectious thing is when they're just good enough to not get let go from the team, but they're not driving the output that they could. And so it just comes down to being like ruthlessly intolerant. And it also comes down to yourself. Cause if you tolerate that B player in yourself, then you'll be more tolerant to that B player of others. But if you have ridiculously high standards for yourself, then it's easier to have that for the rest of the team. And then it becomes easier to let people go for not and just like give them an ultimatum. Like everyone's going to have a different company culture, so that's completely fine. But if you want to win and you want to be the best, then you need to be upfront about that with the people on your team and say, "Hey, I only want people here who want to become the best and who want to sacrifice everything for this." And that's like what I found the best frame. Like the best team members always just want to not suck. They're like, how can I be the best person on this team? They don't necessarily care. I mean, money for sure is a driving factor for everybody, but the core driving factor goes back to that insecurity, bro. Like all the best team members have this like deep insecurity of losing. Even come in at second place, even if they're doubling the cash collected, like say take this as a sales rule. They're doubling the cash collected of the rest of the closers, but they're still in second place. And that pisses them off to the point. There's this one bro, Hunter. Hunter's probably watching this right now. I had a call with him the other night and dude, it just like it's this part of him that can't sleep if he's not number one. Like it just eats him up. It's the most uncomfortable feeling. It stresses him out so much. Now, I don't think that's healthy long term, but like that's what's required to become the best. And that's what I look for in the people who I want on my team. The people who can't sleep if they're number two. But
Yeah.
if you want those people on your team, you need to be that person too, because those people are only attracted to like actual killers. Bro, I hate how much terms get thrown around. Oh yeah, I've got a killer, bro. You're gonna love this guy. No, dude, he's not a fucking killer. He's not a savage. He's not a hunter. He doesn't have those
Yeah.
eyes. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their demeanor.
Yeah.
Stop saying they're a fucking killer.
I think it's probably subjective to them of being a killer, what that means to them. Yeah. And what that means to
Yeah,
you. Uh
100%.
and fulfillment as a sales multiplier. You claim that fulfillment is numero uno and that conviction trumps sales skills. How do you systematically inject conviction into new sales rep who hasn't yet seen the student's results firsthand?
I'll give an example of this right now, actually, is we have closers and setters on the team who will step up and become leaders. Even if they don't have that title, they just embody that role because they want to be killers. They want to be winners. And they will send screenshots like, hey, this guy who, like, I was on a call with him for 2 hours, an extra 60 minutes, battling this fear objection, going back and forth. And I could have let him go, but I didn't. He had the biggest fear in the world. And then he joined, and now he's making 10K a month after 2 months inside the program. And so our reps just get so positively reinforced by that, and they'll just send those messages in the chat. And I don't think that's something you can necessarily engineer. Like you can't work your ass off. Like you can, but in the info product space, I think whoever's product you're selling, it doesn't matter if they put all their focus on product, they implement all the best practices. Let's say they're selling a course on how to make pizzas. They I've been getting slapped like crazy with retargeting ads from this Italian dude with his pizza course. Have you seen him?
I've not seen
It's crazy, bro.
that in
They're
my life.
probably
No,
spending an insane amount. Anyways, let's say you're selling a course
that's
on
hilarious.
pizza, but you suck at cooking. You could put all the effort into cultivating an amazing community, having the perfect onboarding experience, doing all the best practices for retention. But if you suck at making pizza, you're not going to have a good product. Doesn't matter how hard you try. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the core thing is like the product we're trying to sell or the product we are selling, the face of the brand and the guys doing fulfillment in there are genuinely so good at what they do where frankly we could be putting a lot more effort into fulfillment and into engineering that like positive reward cycle. We don't have to because I mean I actually want to, but it's like partially out of my control because like I can't sit down and record onboarding videos for them. But anyways, I I think it just comes down to how good the product is based on how good the face of the brand, at least when it comes to info products, is at that opportunity vehicle, and the rest will follow. Like the sales reps will get messages from leads they closed saying that, hey, you changed my life. They'll see those messages in the Discord testimonials channel. We every day, like we have a Discord testimonials channel, and every day, my assistant Ern is a fucking goat. Shout out Ern if he's watching this right now. He will take those videos from the test or the pictures from the testimonials channel and he'll post them in the Slack. So every day they're testimonials that our team can see
That's
and
it.
read. We'll go over them on team meetings at the beginning of every meeting. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like it just happens. We don't have to engineer it.
So you hire setters for hunger and closer for skill. If you had a setter who was doing only 200 dials, but they were, I think you mentioned that they were good at making conversations. They were more experienced versus a monotone or normal regular guy that was doing double, which is 400 dials. Why does the regular guy win every time in your model?
Yeah. So part of it is a dial aspect. Part of it is also speed to lead because you could do 200 dials to the right leads quick enough and book twice as many calls as someone who does 400 dials and is just like working through a list. So that's one thing to be clear is volume is part of it, but speed is also another big part. But when it comes to setting, it's not like closing. With closing, you have a 45 to 60-minute increment to walk someone through this entire emotional roller coaster, figure out what they've tried in the past, all their pain points, like dive deep into what they're struggling with and the impact that's having on their personal life, how that makes them feel, dive deep into their dream state, and then pitch them a $3,000 product, get them to pay it on the phone, and then explain away all their concerns on this short period of time. That requires a lot more skill than calling someone up and saying, "What's up, bro? This is name from XYZ company. Saw you're expressing some interest in XYZ. Are you open to having a quick conversation about that?" Boom. Just like going through a quick setting call where you just see, like, okay, how long have you known XYZ person for? What have you tried in the past? Just like a quick setting call where all you're selling is just another call where we'll map out a roadmap to help you reach your goals. Like,
Yeah.
it's a super simple sale to make and requires a lot less skill. And what is way more important because like once you get someone on the phone, it's way easier to book them. Or like once you get someone on the phone, it's easy to book them. And the real skill comes down to how quick are you reaching out to leads? How quick are you reaching out to the right leads? And then how many of these right leads are you reaching out to super quickly? Like it's all just a speed and volume game when it comes to setters. And I learned that by having a setter who is objectively way better at sales, way better at tonation, way better at pacing, way better at asking the right questions, but had one third the output of a setter with no sales experience who sounded like a robot, who was super slow and sounded tired, but he would call people instantly. He would do 400 dials a day. He would work from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., like literally on the phone from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. And he outperformed the other guy. He sounded like an idiot. He didn't sound like an idiot, but like he just sounded like an average dude on the phone. And he outperformed the other guy by 3x just because he's quicker, he did more, and he hit up the right people. That's really all that matters when it comes down to setting. It is really also important to sound good on the setting call, to know how to handle financially qualifying people, to know how to get commitment, to get people to show up. Like there is absolutely skill
Yeah.
involved in setting. My current sales manager, he gave me like these 4 quadrants of setter skill level. The bottom, you have incompetent, doesn't work very hard. That person, like obviously you don't want them on the team.
Yeah.
Next is competent, but they don't work very hard. Then there's incompetent, but they work hard. And then competent, but they work hard. Obviously, the best is you want someone who's competent and works hard, but incompetent hard worker as a setter outbeats competent but doesn't work hard.
Yeah. So after you testing a bunch of different stuff, what is the most fancy part of your current, or what is the most in your current operation? What's the most fancy thing that you are most tempted to delete right now?
Most tempted to delete.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna ask what is a fancy thing that is actually working.
Okay.
I'll give
Or you
two
can
because
answer
that
that.
yeah,
That's
that's the
better.
first thing that came to mind. I basically pulled data from all of our closer EODs and dialer EODs, create a
Mhm.
bunch of crazy Google Sheet equations to like come up with a point system for this thing that I call the cash games
Mhm.
for my closers and my setters. So it's basically a bonus incentive based on, are you showing up to meetings on time? Are you hitting your KPIs? Are you filling out your EODs on time? How much cash are you collecting? What's your show rate? What's your close rate? What's your AOV? It pools all these different statistics and then it creates a point system. And then it adds up the points of everyone on the 2 different teams for the cash games. Whatever
Yeah.
team has the most points will then win the bonus from the cash game. So it actually didn't take me that long to create it thanks to AI. But yeah, it is pretty complex.
So you're
And
saying AOV, so for the people watching that don't know that, it's just average order value, meaning, if I'm
yeah,
not mistaken, the average amount that they cash collect on the calls?
correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
if I take a few calls in the day. One person I close for 1K, one person I close for 3K, one person I close for 300. You'll then add those up. So that's
Yeah.
4.3K divided by 3 closes, whatever that number is. Let me rip
Yeah.
some mental math. That's like 1.4K. It's three. So a little over 1.4K is then
Yeah.
the average order value.
Okay. And then you said you calculate that, and then if they're showing up on meetings and everything, all their daily,
To
yeah,
be
the
clear, if you
EOD.
don't show up to a meeting with no notice, you're off the team. But if you're like five
Wow.
minutes
Okay.
late to a meeting or something, and if you're 5 minutes late and you're on a call, that's fine. But if you're 5 minutes late with no notice, no reason, then that deducts a bunch of points.
Okay.
But if you just straight up no show a meeting, then yeah, and you have no notice, like
Okay.
you're out.
So you have the system where it's like you're not managing this all the time. It's like you have a system that does it itself, or how does it work?
Yeah, Google. So the team fills out their end of day reports. That then goes to the database. The database then calculates the averages. Then those averages get sent through Google Apps Script to a Slack message. And then they also get sent to our Looker Studio dashboard. So there's like a clean dashboard with like that looks like a video game on Looker Studio. And then we also have a message sent in Slack. So like they see a notification every day showing where they're at on the leaderboard.
Okay. And then for every positive stuff, points and negative points is already probably listed, right? If you miss a meeting, you
Yeah.
lose this much points. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's actually pretty sick. It's
Yep.
definitely, middle of the bell curve, but it's
Yeah.
still
Very.
it's still a great system that, it seems like you only did it, worked on it once and easy and
We
fast. Yeah.
just implemented it, so we'll see if there's an ROI on the time and attention spent, but I think there already is. A big one was incentivizing closer follow-up, so following up with
Yeah.
no-shows and no closes. We've gotten 3 follow-up closes that I'm almost certain that we would not have gotten if we didn't implement that new incentive. So we've collected like an extra 10K this week from follow-up, so we just would not have collected. So that's been great. Another thing is our setters have been more consistent with dials because that's one of the points.
Mhm.
So like seems like they're for at least like the inputs when it comes to more dials and more follow-ups, seems that's helped. In terms of complex things that I want to delete, honestly, bro, nothing because if there was, I would have deleted it already.
Yeah. I see. And going back to the setting, how's their pay structure and stuff look like? Because we
For the cash
recently,
games?
yeah,
Yeah, so We switched the
Or no,
teams.
I meant in general, sorry. I meant like the setting. How do they get usually, or is it the normal
Yeah,
5%?
it's super standard, just 5% for setters, 10% for closers. Setters are all outbound. It's not like they're getting 5% for just calling an inbound warm lead that's booked a call. They're generating their own. They're calling leads who opted in. They're generating their
Okay.
own calls.
Because
So
the reason I asked that is because recently in the company I'm working in, they are implementing this new thing they learned from Charlie Morgan, which is for setters, if they book a qualified call, they just get paid for that. That way they're more in control, kind of. And
rather, no, that's something I've heard and I really like it. I haven't played around with this, but it's something in the back of my mind. Whereas setters will book a bunch of calls and they'll get on a hot streak and they'll be super motivated. But then let's say all those calls show and they're all really good leads, but the closer fumbles, then the setter gets demotivated for something that's outside their control. So I think that's a completely valid pay structure, like pay per qualified show. We haven't implemented that yet, but I'm a fan of it. Or even if that's not the core pay structure, it could be a like a bonus incentive or something.
yeah, and then
I
yeah,
guess our way of hitting that is kind of with the cash games.
yeah,
I mean we don't give a we give a bonus for show rate for the setter. Like every day out of how many calls is on the calendar was a show rate. They'll get a bonus for that. But I guess that could be more efficient. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
something we could add.
and how does also, since we're already speaking talking about the cash games, how does the incentive works? Like, how does, or let me quickly just read this question. I just skipped one, but it talks about the cash games. The psychology of the cash games, you use a biweekly competition to incentivize boring admin tasks like end of day reports. End of day report shouldn't take too long, right?
No.
Okay. So yeah,
But a
I
lot
don't know
of a
why.
lot of reps will fill out an end of day report on the next day or something. Like, bro, salespeople hate admin shit
Yeah, I see.
because they
Okay, that
don't
makes
make
sense.
money from an EOD report. They don't. You get
Yeah.
money for setting calls and closing deals. You don't get money for filling out a boring form.
Okay. The cash games, what does the bonus or the structure specifically look like?
For the cash game structure, it is a 2% override of cash collected, and it operates on a 2-week period. So the teams are chosen for that 2-week period. There's Team
Hmm.
Alpha and Team Bravo. Let's say the whole sales team, and to be like Team Alpha is one half of the team. So let's say we have 6 closers and 14 setters. It'll be
Hmm.
3 closers and 7 setters versus 3 closers and 7 setters. And those 2 teams compete against each other. Only setters from Team Alpha can book on closers from Team Alpha's calendar and vice versa. And after that 2-week period, whatever team has the most points, again, these points are awarded based on average order value, how many dials you make, how many calls you book, what the show rate was, what the close rate was. If you show up to a meeting late, you get points deducted. If you fill out an EOD late, you get your points deducted. We have a bunch of more follow-ups means you get awarded more points. And whatever team, if you add up all the closers, all the setters, whatever team has the most points will then win the cash games for that period. And they will then be awarded a 2% override of cash collected across the whole team. So let's say the whole team cash collected 300K over that 2-week period. Take 2% of that 300K, that's an extra 6K that is split between every team member on the cash game. So if there are 3 closers and 7 setters on that winning team, that's 10 people that the 6K bonus is then divided to. And then after
Okay.
that, whoever has the top points in the cash games could be a setter, could be a closer, could be on a losing team as well. Whoever's the top points then becomes the captain to pick for the next cash games, to pick what team members they want. So there are 2 captains. Whoever has
Yeah.
the most points is first pick, whoever's the second most points is second pick. And so what's interesting is a lot of times setters will pick the best setters, the hungriest setters on their team, because they understand booking 10, like with closers, there tends to not be a huge discrepancy. At least on our team, we have super strong closers who pretty much, we have like 2 closers who are kind of outliers, I guess. Might be different with every team, but a lot of times people will pick like the hungriest setters first because they understand like if this dude is booking us 10 calls per day compared to every other setter booking 3 to 5 calls a day, that's like way more powerful than um
Yeah. How does it like how do you make sure that I guess I think you kind of answered it. How do you make sure that it's kind of fair and it doesn't become like, okay, one team is always losing, but I think you mentioned they switch and it's the top two best people that pick their own teams.
right. So you
Okay.
could be on the losing team, but as long as you out inputted everybody, meaning you worked harder, you worked more hours, you did more dials, you booked more calls, you can still have more points than everyone else. Like we want it to be there is output based, there is cash collected, there is average order value, but it is also very input based. So like you can for sure be on the losing team, but have the most points and then become first pick and then get better people on your team and win the next games.
Okay. That makes sense. How do you see AI evolving in the info industry?
Yeah, so I think, dude, I was kind of crashing out recently. I think AI, okay, don't get me wrong, AI is super incredible, super incredible. The vast majority of people are underutilizing it. But at the same time, people are like over sensationalizing AI and like all these, "Oh, this shit's such a game changer, but it doesn't do anything. Like, there's no real utility. It's like this cool, not to shit on you just showed me this cool dashboard that was built entirely by AI. It's
Yeah.
super cool and unique, but it's nothing that can't be done on Looker Studio in a shorter period of time. And I think a lot of people hype up AI and sensationalize AI without being grounded in utility. Like, what is the real use behind this? Now, I think those
Yeah.
who do have logic and do find real use cases and utility for AI, I think they're gapping the fuck out of everyone else. I just watched an interview with Elon, and he was like, you could take an entire skyscraper full of the most talented data scientists and put them against an AI with the spreadsheet, and the AI with the spreadsheet is going to win. And the companies that are entirely built on AI are going to win. So I do think I've also heard of people bringing on a full on AI integration role. So they find someone who's an expert in AI. They look at everything in the business and they're like, here's a bottleneck that AI can solve. Here's a system that can be automated or improved with AI. And I think those are great use cases. But you need to be looking at like, does this solve a problem that we couldn't solve beforehand? And does it do so in a better way? Does this speed up or automate a process, or does this improve a process? If it's not doing those things and it's just like cool and fun, then like what's the point? So many people
Yeah.
just like show a new feature that is just like bullshit. It doesn't add more value to the company. But I don't know if I'm the best person to speak on this because I know for a fact I'm underutilizing AI, but the main ways I've used it, for one, I was using GPT for a while, not for copywriting, but for backend stuff. I've found that Gemini is way better and GPT is really stupid right now. This is case by case, like AI is
Yeah.
always evolving, but like right now, I found Gemini is the best for backend builds. And I think it's super cool the stuff that you can automate and the stuff you can build. Like the cash games, for example, entirely built and automated with AI. With this is some secret sauce I'm gonna put you on. It's called Google App Script. So you can
Google Apps.
Google lets you build these apps that it's almost like a Zapier automation, but it has more functionalities and it's completely free. So I built some cool ass automations with Google App Script and Google Gemini. I built Looker dashboards, Slack automations, but again, I know I'm super underutilizing it.
Yeah.
That's one. And
Yeah.
also like setting up code and funnels. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying like specifically for like AI, for like info and for like for you or like operators or that's what I meant for how do you see it evolving? Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're touching backend, I think that is a very like clear use case. And even what your guy did, like building that dashboard. If you didn't already have a dashboard and you don't know how to use Looker, then hell yeah, like build a
Yeah.
dashboard on what's it called, Base 44.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that seems like a sick product. Another thing, another use case is I just wrote 2 VSLs mostly on I mean, this is nothing new, like people have been writing copy with AI for a while, but I found I actually use Jeremy Hain's new AI. It's called Utari AI. Anyone in his inner circle gets free access to that. So shout out the GOAT for making a great product. But I've used both Manus and Utari, and I've found Utari to be better. But for
Is
those
that
of you who
similar
aren't,
to Delphi?
no,
Is that oh, okay.
Delphi, I don't know if it's
Yeah,
Delphi or Delphi, I have no idea, but, that is basically where it takes your brain and then it turns you into an AI
yeah,
model. Manus is completely separate. So, the traditional LLM, a lot of people use, Claude for this, which I'm to be, like, upfront, I'm regurgitating stuff that I've heard. Like, check the documentation, verify this, but, like, this is just what I've heard from experts, is that most LLMs are subscription-based. Well, I mean, that's obvious. You're paying a
yeah.
subscription to Claude. But what does that actually mean? It means that the AI is incentivized to save as much energy as possible because every use case, there's energy that is used up by the AI, which costs money on their end. So if you feed a bunch of documents to Claude, it's incentivized to skim through it and get the most important things, but not go through it all. Whereas Manus and Utari, they're credit based. So it wants you to spend more money. So it wants
I
to
see.
go through more of the documents that you feed it. It reads everything. It doesn't just skim.
Yeah,
And so if you feed super detailed market research to it, it will then spit out better copy. And so
yeah,
last night I wrote two VSLs completely with Utari, and then of course went through, edited it, added some more special sauce. But like the core thing is just context. If you're giving the AI enough context, it can make really good copy. If you give AI context on, like, if you're publishing a brand or if you're selling info of someone else, who is the face of the brand? What do they talk like? How old are they? What is their demographic? Who is the demographic they're selling to? What is the psychographic of who they're selling to? What is the product? Just like flood it
yeah,
with data, like thousands and thousands of words of details for literally a 3-minute VSL. But like all that context is so important. So it can spit out super tailored copy. Cause right now,
yeah,
specificity is winning. Like that is the most important thing is, are you speaking directly to the person you want to sell to? Now, there are tons of people who are made up in your audience. Like there's no exact one person. If you're selling
yeah,
to if you're selling a AI agency offer, there are going to be people brand new to online business. There are going to be people who have already started and failed an agency. There are going to be people who have an agency and want to scale. But it's about finding like what is the majority of my audience and how do I speak as directly as possible to them and kind of finding the happy medium where you're also still picking up on some of those other demographics as well.
yeah. And also looking at your already paid members, looking at your best members and attracting those, I believe helps.
Facts. That's a gem, bro. Bro's
Yeah.
nonchalantly spitting some sauce. I
Yeah.
actually need to do that more. I'm not doing that enough. I'm gonna start doing that more.
Yeah, I realized like the first company I worked for, they had members that the paid members that did super well and make a bunch of money, 100K a month, 50K a month or whatever, but they targeted a lot of beginners. They wanted to attract a lot of people. So instead of niching down, which they could have made a lot more money, in my opinion, they wanted to go broad and, try to get everybody.
Yeah,
Mm,
Hormozy talks about that when he was first scaling up Gym Launch. When he looked at his top customers, I forget the exact criteria, but it was something along the lines of sign lease, at least one or two employees. Maybe, I don't know if he had like a revenue criteria. I know for sure is sign lease, one or two employees. I forget the other criteria. No other, like, cycling studios or dance studios, only gyms. No like, I forget what they're called, but, like, a Lifetime Fitness, for example, none
Yeah.
of those, like, a full-on, like, health club,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
um,
Like the in was it's like
or like an LA
the
Fitness, none of
main
those.
brand. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just like a small local gym, and when he did that, I know things scaled up a lot quicker, and that's even, like, what I'm intending to do right now. Well, I'm starting to grow my own personal brand a little bit more, and I'd much rather have 100 6 or 7-figure infopreneurs following me than 100,000 consumers who wanna make money online, and,
Yeah.
yeah, just, like, it's so I remember this really hit me when I made one YouTube video breaking down a $250,000 launch I did, and it got like 2,000 views, And out of those 2,000 views, I just sniped one dream client who then ended up reaching out to me and it was perfect. Like he was at the exact revenue number, which is 80K a month, which like that launch, I launched him from 80K a month to a quarter million. He had a big audience. He was looking to grow and it was just like a perfect fit. He was like, I
Yeah.
want you to do the same thing you did for me, for them, do that for me. It feels like you're just talking into the abyss when you're talking to a camera, but the algorithm is insanely good at targeting exactly who you want to speak to. And so
Yeah.
speak directly to them and you'll attract those people.
Yeah. 100%. And I've realized as well, like I had a goal of like doing 10K on Instagram, 1K on YouTube and stuff like that. But I realized just having those numbers not important. It's the quality of the members. Like I'm realizing even current audience, most people have tons of bots and stuff like that. And yeah, what's most important is the people that your audience that you're able to help and to get you clients to work with. Yeah.
Percent.
So what is the best book that has helped you with mindset? Or what's
Uh,
the thing in general? What's the main thing that has helped you with mindset?
if I had to say it's reality transurfing, but that's also not everyone's jam. I personally think a lot of like manifestation is most people who get super into that are like missing the action portion of it. But I have a strong belief that our thoughts do impact reality and that like I'm a super sensitive person and like I'm gonna give an extreme example, but when I've been super mad at my mom, I will make her cry by saying nothing, but by seething with anger and just looking at her. And that energy will overwhelm her and she'll start crying. And whenever you're driving and you're pissed off and you're late to get somewhere and you keep hitting red lights and you're like, fuck, I need to get there quickly. The more you stress about it, the more red lights you hit. Or the more you stress about financial scarcity, the more you're gonna run into problems. Oh, another bill came up. I'm a strong believer that those things are real. I've just experienced them enough to and there's like the human mind just creates this like cage of logic because it needs firm grounding to think on. The human
Yeah,
brain is so scared of vagueness and things that can't be described. But
yeah,
I love how Hormozy like makes things so black and white, and I think it's extremely helpful. But the flip side of the coin is there's so much that goes on in this reality that we cannot describe. Physically, as
yeah,
humans, we cannot describe it. There are so many things behind the scenes, so many actions that are and like cause and effect relationships are being influenced that like there's way more, in my opinion, that's going on than just our actions. But I think a lot of
yeah,
times people like fall in either category where they only focus on mindset and they only focus on actions. I think if you had to
yeah,
pick one, actions will absolutely get you to your goals quicker. But I
yeah,
do think quote unquote mindset, what I say by mindset is how you choose to perceive the events that occur in your life. And if you choose
yeah,
to have a positive outlook when something bad things okay, we're getting deep here. We're not deep, but we're diving a little bit. All right. Bad is relative. Bad
yeah,
it only means that I wanted this to happen, but something else happened. But a lot of times, if you zoom out far enough, what your brain thinks is bad is actually the best again, best is relative, but best possible thing that could have happened to you. And if you just take any event that occurs in your life, no matter how painful it is, and you just say like, wow, I'm really glad this happened. This is the best thing that could have happened. I believe it will attract more good, again, that's relative, things into your life. And if it doesn't, you will still be better from the bad things that occur because you take it as an opportunity for growth. And
yeah.
reality transurfing goes way deeper than that. There's way more that it breaks down. I think that's where I'm losing my voice. I've been on calls
No
for like
worries.
a few hours now.
No worries. I actually have some interesting things to say about this as well. Like I watched Neuro Knowledge in one of Mohise's videos explain this well. It's like and also Tony Robinson a little bit, where it's like for Neuro Knowledge said, I think it was like each person their truths is like their truths is their experience and their experience shapes their beliefs and that is their truth. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same thing
In
with
reality transurfing, it's
yeah,
called he calls it the mirror circle.
the
You
mirror
like,
circle.
you're just stuck in this circle of repeating negative shit. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long ass book. You need to read it all. But that's what has impacted me the most. But if you are not as into the quote unquote mindset stuff, which actually it's literally like science, he literally breaks it down in a way that he's a metaphysicist. But if you're not as into that more vague stuff that may or may not be real and can only be proven by your own experiences, then I'd check out any biography by a successful entrepreneur who you look up to, because that will greatly impact what you believe is possible or not. For me, the biggest one was the Musk biography. That, like, it feels like you're reading a movie, like, it feels like fiction, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just insane, and he's just getting started. He's still 60.
Yeah.
He's got some years to go, or he's, like, 50, 57 maybe. The Jobs biography I'm reading right now is incredible. The Bezos biography, The Everything Store, I don't like Brad Stone's writing as much, like, I don't think it's as good, but Bezos's story is still ridiculous, like crazy what he built. So I think like if you're not as into the quote unquote woo woo stuff, which I don't even think reality transurfing's woo woo, reading stories from successful entrepreneurs who have made that dent in the universe, I think that's like the next biggest mindset shift I've had.
Yeah, because I believe, yeah, having a good balance with mindset and action is important. Because I know relatives where they're on both ends of the spectrum, kind of, and I see how that's not serving them well to their goals. So, yeah, it's important to have both because, yeah.
100%.
And at the end of every podcast, I like to ask some questions from the audience. Today, I got questions from some community members, two questions. So, from Oliver, he's saying, you're probably asking this already. Where or who did he get the most value from? So, where did you get your most of your knowledge from?
It differs at every stage. There's no one person who I can say gave me the most value. I think you find the right person at the right stage you're at, who is ahead of you, but has the knowledge that is specifically applicable to solving the bottleneck you're at. So yeah, there is no one person. It's just, and I don't even want to name any people because I don't think that would necessarily help you. I think it's just like identify where you're at and do your research and find who is the best person at helping people exactly where I'm at right now get to where I want to go.
Yeah, that's great
It's
advice.
just like a bridge. It doesn't mean like I got to where I am with all these different stepping stones and mentors along the way. Like no one person helped me more than the other.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely a combination of learning with a bunch of people. Like same way Hermosi, he learns from tons of people and takes, a lot of stuff from different people and builds on top of it is, I feel like, yeah, the best way. And it's also what's your opinion of, like, I guess you kind of answered it, but when you're in a certain stage, should you be learning from somebody just right on that is just ahead of you, or like what about the people that are like Hermosi or William Brown that are, let's say, way more ahead? Is there benefits from learning from people that are a lot ahead or people that are just ahead?
This is gonna sound arrogant, but I don't think William Brown is that far ahead. But Hormozy absolutely is a fucking giant, and
Yeah,
I'm an ant. I mean, I'm in Hormozy's scale advisory right now
yeah,
because I'm sure he has like more high ticket products past that, but it's 36K a year. And as far as I'm aware, it's like one of his higher ticket coaching programs. I'm like done with you coaching programs. And I'm getting immense value from it, but I'm not getting as much value as I have from other people who are closer to where I'm at. So I do think the people who are only a few steps ahead of you tend to have more of the recency. They have like where they're at, it's more fresh in their mind. So if I were to pay someone right now who had scaled from 4K to a mil a month, that would probably be more helpful for me than paying Hormozy, who is doing like, I don't even know how much he's doing with his portfolio. I think like 250 mil a year and trying to get to a bill. Like he's not going to have the same recency. But I still think you can pick up lessons that could be applicable and like they absolutely are. And I also view it as like, even though it may not be solving my exact bottleneck, it's like paving stones for the future. So I know when I do get to that point, more of it will be clear for me. But
yeah,
if your goal is just to like leapfrog out of the current stage, I'd say it's probably better to find specificity and recency and like who your mentor was.
uh,
Are they in the exact opportunity vehicle as you? And were they there recently and got to like your next goal? That's probably like the best scenario.
Yeah. I was actually doing a lot of research to trying to find that person that's like just right ahead, and it's sometimes not easy to find. And
Yeah.
or they're not willing to teach. Like I met him at a mastermind and I realized, okay, I was just thinking about it. I was like, okay, who can be this person? And then yeah, they are just focused on their one opportunity as well. Actually doing the thing, which is actually a good sign. Yeah. And then last question from Jaden. You said outside the basic stuff like sleep and diet, what are advanced tactics you use for personal health that directly increase business output on the scoreboard?
It's a funny question, bro. I actually like really dove deep into that. So that's like really perfect because I had my own little experience of that over the past couple months. So my sales manager has been struggling with he's just felt like there's this one thing that's been off. And when he can crack that one code, he'll unlock all this productivity, all this dopamine, all this motivation, and he'll be like reborn. And it could absolutely be possible. I'm not saying it's not. But from my perspective, it tends to be all the little things stacked on top of each other, not the one miracle drug. But when I was in this, I got into it with him. I was like, all right, like let's get into these. We got our blood work done together. I was looking at peptides. I was looking at this and that. By the way, I've heard people on peptides who have amazing experiences. I've never tried them. I actually ordered some peptides and then I looked into them more and I was like, all right, I don't want to put shit in my body that I don't know about. So I didn't take them, but I know
Yeah.
people on them who have amazing experiences, not just for their physical health, but also productivity, sharpness, focus in business. But what I did end up taking was this thing called enclomiphene, which is probably kind of right up the same alley. It's not an injectable, but it is a supplement that artificially stimulates your balls into producing more testosterone. And I found it to be amazing when it came to energy and motivation, clarity and dopamine and all that. But it also fried my nervous system. Like the nervous system is basically just the nerves that run throughout your body and that impacts everything. Like I just found myself every single day I was shaking, I was sweating, hormone imbalance, like what I got in productivity and like bonuses, I made up for in like other negative shit. And so like most artificial things will have a downside. That's been my perspective. And I tend to lean more towards holistic stuff. And everyone's body is different. That's one thing I'll say. Like some people's bodies will spit out artificial things way harder than others. Like some people do better on prescriptions. My body, like whenever something unnatural goes in it, I'll have a crazy flare up or crazy response. Like it only my body knows what it wants. So like the biggest thing I have found, like there is no sleep code or no cheat code. Like get your
Yeah.
sleep, get your sunshine, go for runs, hit workouts, eat less processed foods, test different things to see what works for yourself because everyone's body is different. I
Yeah.
found I operate best when I like some things I got was a cold mattress. It's called a chili pad. That helps
Yeah.
for
My
me.
brother has that.
Yeah, it's fire. Another thing I've found is consistent bedtime. That's really important. No
Yeah.
blue light for before bed. Another big needle mover is understanding that everyone is a different chronotype. So if you're a kid, you tend to be, if you're a teenager, you're going to be, your internal clock is going to be 4 hours behind that of your parents if they're 50 or 60. So if your parents say, go to bed at 10 p.m., that's like them saying go to bed at 6 p.m. Way harder. That's why the education system's so fucked, is because you have to wake up so early. Not
Yeah.
only are the early hours when you get all your REM sleep, which is where your creativity comes from, but so you're sleep deprived because you get lower quality sleep because your chronotype is shifted to be more of a night owl. Most of the time. There are of course outliers, but like most people our age are more night owl chronotypes and it interferes with REM sleep. So like for me, I used to have this big insecurity about like hustle culture and needing to wake up at 5 a.m. And I did that for a year straight. Didn't miss a day. I woke up at 5 a.m. every single day. But I found I had the biggest input or biggest output in my business when I went to bed at like 1 or 2 and woke up at like 9 or 10. So like I'm waking up at 10 a.m. feeling like a crash out, but my business is doing better than it has ever been doing. My
Yeah.
brain is clearer than it's ever been. I'm a better leader than I've ever been. I'm writing more creative copy than I've ever written. I'm having better ideas for the sales process I've ever had. So it's like find the things that work for you. But bottom line,
Okay.
I'd say just like stick to simplicity, good sleep, good exercise, good diet, sunshine first thing every day in the morning, not through a window, like go outside if you can for just like 10 minutes and like find the little routines that help you. So like for me, a little
Yeah.
routine is just like reading 10 minutes in the morning, journaling 10 minutes before bed. You don't need it. If you're good just getting up and going straight to work and that's maximum productivity, then absolutely do that. But for me, I find I'm best if I have a little like little warm up in the morning, go on a little walk, get some sunshine, drink some tea, and then 30 minutes later, then go start working. So it's just like test the routines. Find I've split test like 100 routines over the past few years. Like find the routines that work for you
Yeah.
and stick to simple shit. But health is like one of the most overlooked things that gets you the most productivity, especially if you're a knowledge worker like us. All of your output comes from here,
Yeah.
not from the work you do. It's not like you're mining diamonds in a mine shaft. You're coming up with ideas. And so like health
Yeah.
has the biggest impact on that.
I agree 1,000%. Like I been past actually I realized I actually got this whoop in 2023, so even
When
before online business. Yes, sir. Yeah, no Rolex is just whoops. Yeah, but yeah, I've realized is one of the most important things in general. Like, the people that are well, to each their own, right? But I personally think like what's the point of making a bunch of money doing a lot of these things if you're not gonna take care of yourself and your or be able to enjoy it much.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, no, it
Awesome.
just comes down to what you want. I saw this like video from Bradley. Someone was like rage baiting him in the comments, like, you're fat. Like, it doesn't matter if you're rich. He was talking about eating like a maple donut. It's like, man, I'd much rather have the maple donut than like some shit like that. So like, do what
Yeah.
you want, bro. If you fucking love maple donuts and you accept the trade off that like maybe I won't be as healthy, but I'm enjoying my maple donut, then absolutely run it. But
Yeah, I'm realizing like, yeah, the people that the side effects from that and I guess in general of unhealthy living is also living shorter for the most part. If
yeah.
they rather enjoy, that the years that they have, then that's their choice. And who are we to tell them not to do that?
Yeah.
I really, 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 really appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to do this podcast and spending 2 hours that it's recording so far. Yeah. Any last things for the audience or where can they find you? I'll probably put your link in the description as well.
Yeah, I post thoughts every day on Twitter because at the moment the easiest thing for me to do is I just get an idea and I type it out. I don't have as much time to like create content because I'm actively running a business. So if you want thoughts, check me out on Twitter at Braden Bark. And then Instagram, I'll post story posts with like job opportunities and occasional YouTube videos will be linked there. That's just my full name, Braden Barkmeyer. Same with my YouTube. Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you, Prince. You're a humble ass dude. Not a lot of people understand how many school games have you won? Like six?
I've helped 6 people.
Yeah.
And more
I
hands
don't
on like 5. Yeah.
I don't know a single person who's won that many school games. And also, just like mindset wise, you're insanely curious. You ask good questions. And
Thank
when
you.
we were talking about love of the game earlier on, and like you can just tell when people have it, like you're one of those people. So, yeah,
Appreciate it.
appreciate you having me on. It's a enjoyable
100%.
conversation. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching and peace out.
Peace.